What's up, superstars? Back with another video. You got superstar Rob and you got superstar Doodlifts. How you doing, Doodlifts?
Hey, what's up, man? Thanks for inviting me here. I'm glad to be here. Oh, the punching. That's what you're talking. Wait, the other way. The other way. Okay. Nice. That's what you warned me about.
There you go. I mean, you handled that pretty well. You beat me up pretty bad. You got the mirror punch going on, going through one side through the other, right? Like
Trying my best.
Games. But yeah, I hope you enjoy the punching fest there. But if you haven't already, don't forget.
It was a good warm up. It was a good warm up.
Oh, absolutely. Make sure you guys become a superstar. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification button. We post every single day. Thank you to our VIPs, all the super duper rares. That's 2 years of being a VIP on the channel. We appreciate all your support. Thank you guys for your amazing dedication and supporting us. Also, you can reach out to us anytime on X, Instagram, or Discord. Guys, join the Discord in the description below of this video. You can join our Discord. We have so many amazing superstars there right now. Please join it. Join the conversation. And right now, Rich in the Discord is running a security challenge. So you can become secure and get a chance to win. This week, review your open approvals and read security article and share the knowledge on social. Just join the Discord. You can find more information there. We're going to be spinning the wheel of names at the end of this week. So, Doodlifts, how you doing?
Dude, I'm doing good, man. I am in Arizona, and I will say our AC went out today. So, send good vibes our way. But we're going to be doing okay, though. But life is good, man. Life is good. How about you?
Yeah, it's going well. I guess you're gonna have to rely on some of the wind cooling, then get the breeze going on up there. But
oh yeah,
guys, if you don't know, make sure you guys join Doodlifts. So why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Sure. So yeah, my name is Matt. A lot of people know me by Doodlifts. Even my name in my work Slack is Doodlifts, so people are surprised to find out my name is Matt. So I work on the community team for the Flow Foundation. So a lot of you may have heard of Flow blockchain. So that's what I work for. I haven't always worked in Web3 though. I've been kind of a recreational enjoyer for a few years. Had a past as a substance abuse counselor, strength and conditioning professional. So I've done a few things in my day, and now I'm working full-time in Web3.
Oh, that's incredible. Now the Flow Foundation, that's the branch that they created, right? After the whole settlement, they separated and they created the Flow Foundation, or that happened before?
Yeah, my understanding, and this is a little bit before my time, is that, because to give a little bit of history, so Dapper Labs made the Flow blockchain. So some of you may know about CryptoKitties and how CryptoKitties practically brought Ethereum, grinded it to a halt and clogged up the network. And so Dapper Labs created the Flow blockchain. My understanding is that they were working fairly separately for a while before they officially spun off the Flow Foundation, who is now in charge of the protocol itself. And Dapper now builds products and dApps, which they've always been great at.
Right. Amazing. And I noticed here that you are big into doodles.
How could you tell?
I mean, I guess it was the massive picture behind you. I don't know if we can make us big over here. Take a look at this. Oh no.
Oh, we lost it.
No.
Well, I got one on both sides. So yeah, I've got my doodle over here. I got a little movie poster or little event poster over there. So yeah, and some on the what is it, shelf behind me. So
tell me more about the project. I don't know much about it. I've seen it around. I don't have any of them, but tell me more about them.
Yeah, so I mean, doodles, gosh, I think they minted, I'm afraid to misquote it here, but let's call it October 2021, something like that. And it was originally a 10K PFP project by a famous kind of graffiti muralist called Burnt Toast, and that has grown kind of exponentially since then, taken a lot of forms, a lot of changes. Now it's ran by a team, former Billboard president Julian Holgan, a bunch of other team members. They bought an animation studio at some point, in between now and then, and they're about to release their first animated special at the Toronto International Film Festival in 3 weeks. So they've come a long way in a couple of years.
Yeah, so I'm based out of Toronto, so that's actually the TIFF is something that's always big every single year. So they're going to be doing a release over there.
Yeah. They're going to have a full premiere. I'm going to be there. We have an event. It's going to be awesome. So yeah, we got to link up. Okay,
wow. You got to hit me up then. Maybe we have to go for a couple of drinks down there, but that's cool. So you're going to come to the TIFF. Nice. That's great. And what's these wearables and these dude dads? What's this about?
Yeah, please don't show how many of those I have. No, I'm just kidding. So what you're looking at is the studio, which is the kind of hub for all things doodles. And so wearables in particular. So you have your OG doodles, like the one on my wall that's on ETH mainnet. That is a static, profile picture NFT. The doodles avatars is what you're looking at there. And so those are kind of customizable. In the wearables, it's digital wearables, what it sounds like, digital clothing. This is all predicated on the idea that you believe that we're all going to kind of represent ourselves digitally online in the future. And so wearables are part of that. So some of those are ones that I got from my OG Doodle. Some of those are Adidas wearables. They've done Casio brand collaborations. And so, yeah, that's my closet you're looking at. It's my digital closet, And so I can put any of those on my my doodle at any time.
Oh, that's really cool. And I guess they did a partnership with Adidas here, so that's pretty sick.
Yeah.
All right, and so you're big into the flow. Obviously, then you're very knowledgeable about flow projects. And the reason why we actually organized our collaboration today was because of a video that I did a while ago. Actually, not that long ago, 6 days ago. And it was a video because I
Forever.
saw
That's forever in Web3 time. So
yeah, you know how it is. That's just forever. I can't remember what I ate for breakfast, right?
Yeah.
So someone commented, it was nathanjones.eth. He actually came on the video because it was a previous video going over the lineups at D23. And he said, he made a statement, pretty bold statement, that utility would be bearish for Disney Pinnacle. And on our channel, we always talk about how we believe that for the masses to really come towards the Web3 space and for the masses to come to this licensed digital collectible world like Disney Pinnacle, you might have to do something different than what you would think would work in a physical collecting world. Because it's digital, you've now removed the boundaries of physics. You can do so much more with it, and you can do, through the verification of ownership, you can do other forms of utility. So this was the beginning, and he came on, he said it would be bearish. And I think he was coming from the perspective that it would just be more money. He just wants to collect them. I think that's what the perspective he was coming from.
Could have been.
So there was a lot of back and forth. So I want to discuss this with you today. Let's go down the board of utility in general, Web3 and Disney Pinnacle. What do you think about utility? Do you think it's necessary for a project like Disney Pinnacle to bring in utility to be successful long-term?
Do I think it's necessary for a project like Disney Pinnacle to bring in utility to be successful long-term? Great answer here. It depends. No, no, but genuinely, I would say that and this really varies project to project. I would say that I maybe agree somewhat with Nathan in the sense that quote unquote utility would be bearish, but that requires like a whole slew of definitions, understandings, because utility is a very interesting thing, right? Once you start ascribing quote unquote utility to a project, people can start to measure up exactly almost like a discount, right? Like if you get a $10 discount, they go, okay, so now my NFT is worth $10, right? We want to ascribe value. If there's a dollar sign involved, we want to ascribe value to that. And in the world of collectibles, that is a kind of foreign concept. That's kind of weird, if that makes sense. Like I don't get a Pokemon card and go, well, this Pokemon card gives me a $10 discount at the Pokemon Center in Tokyo. And so now this Pokemon card is worth $10. That's kind of odd. And so introducing that concept directly into digital collectibles actually I think is very foreign and clunky. And so I think that it's almost like you have to quote unquote work your way towards utility. And I think Disney Pinnacle is a great example. Now, granted, Pinnacle, just to be clear, Pinnacle is a Dapper product. Like I work for the Flow Foundation, so I don't work for Pinnacle, which is kind of actually fun for me because I can say stuff that I want to see from the project, like as a holder. But I think that if you introduce quote unquote utility, and granted, what would that even look like for Disney Pinnacle to begin, would be a little clunky and weird. And I'll say this too, I think I tweeted about this. One of the genius parts of Pinnacle to me is that it actually is a quote unquote digital pin, because it could be anything, right? It's an NFT. Like you said, laws of physics are gone. It could be anything. It could be a statue. It could be literally anything. The sky's the limit. It could be just a video, as an NFT. But they decided to make it into a pin, which now current Disney Pinnacle pin collectors, there's an entire ecosystem of those people. They know what to do with those. They know how to collect those, if that makes sense. They understand rarity. They understand completing sets. They understand all this stuff. And they're just immediately able to port that behavior over to a digital item, right? Now, if you told them off the bat, say, hey, and now this pin unlocks this thing, they'd be like, all right, like that's cool, but I don't really know what to do with that. But I do know how to collect pins. So over time, I think it'd be awesome. And I've told the Pinnacle team this several times. Like, and I think they feel the same way. Is like, how amazing would it be to maybe unlock a special experience at Disneyland Park if you had a pins? That to me is utility. That has value to a collector, to a fan, but it's going to take a long time to get there. And they have to be good collectibles first and foremost. Maybe that's more of my opinion, but go ahead, please. I've talked for a while.
No, we want to hear your opinion. You can go for as long as you need. Uh, so one thing I would say is, first of all, what you mentioned with the experience is a great form of utility that I think would benefit any project, especially any that's entangled with Disney, right? They're not the only ones. There's other projects out there that have Disney NFTs involved in their project. Now, Dapper is the biggest of them all. So maybe they have the most influence to be able to even link up with Disney to do something in the parks. Like Lorcana's doing it right now. You can actually buy Lorcana stuff there, right? They're a massive product for them with that license. But one thing I've always wondered though is that even though physical collectors, they understand rarity and scarcity, they understand collecting sets. But with the physical aspect of it, they can hold it and they can feel it. What I find with these normies is that they don't really understand the digital at all. Like if you ask them, if you tell them, okay, you're a collector, well, you collect physical, you could also collect digital. I think a lot of them, they don't have that same drive, that same desire on the digital side. So I think that the NFT space, and I think Disney Pinnacle and Dapper as a leader in the space could be the ones to lead this because they had a lot of success with their moments, right? You look back at their early projects, they had a lot of success not having to worry too much about utility. Then they kind of had light forms of gamification, right? They had the burn events, like they started coming up with different ways that you can kind of create. If you do this, you can get something else. But I think that bringing in these physical collectors, for example, one way to do it is to give them a meaningful, tangible utility. One way would be an experience, like you said, to bring them in. So there's so many different forms of it. Like there's a social aspect, there's a discount. I think gamification is another big one because it is the digital world. So how could you gamify digital pins? I don't know. Maybe the collecting aspect of it can be called a game, but could they go a step further? Could you maybe have third-party providers say, well, okay, if you have the Yoda pin, you can come and play as Yoda in this game. I think there's so many different potentials, right?
Well,
What
and that's the amazing thing about being in Web3 is that the cool thing is that Dapper doesn't have to be the one to do that. Like at some point, when as we know, like right now they're kind of in closed early access, but at some point, yeah, these NFTs would be, available, tradable like any other NFT, hopefully, right? Like anybody could come in and say like, oh, hey, I'm the Yoda fan club. Anybody who has a Yoda, I'm going to send you a free t-shirt. Anybody on the planet can do that, which can't be done without the
Yeah.
platform.
Yeah, and you see, and this is the thing too. You talk about marketplaces, right? So they have these trade events, which is all done in the app, which are great, by the way. Really like how they had the barcode, the QR code. You
Yeah.
can scan it. You can trade with someone in the spot. So when you go to the parks, if there's a physical trade event, if you have digital collectors there too, they can just quickly do trades if they would like. So I think it's great that they have that. But like, I'm curious to see within the Flow ecosystem, and we'll talk about something else in a bit. But with the Flow ecosystem, something like Floaty, for example, or like some of these like third-party built marketplaces that can then connect with Flow. It'd be crazy to also go there. Like maybe they don't have to worry about a marketplace now because someone else can provide that and you can just bring your stuff over, which I think is the beauty of Web3. And it kind of detaches them as well from worrying about cash out and all these things. They can just let someone else deal with it and then they can focus on that. I don't know if you've seen any of that discussion about kind of linking these different Flow platforms to Pinnacle.
I mean, I think that would be the ideal in my mind, right? Is that the assets are interoperable and composable and all the things that you want NFTs to be. So that would include being, available on secondary marketplaces. Now, I will say for the typical consumer, someone who's maybe not Web3 native at all, who's maybe engaging with Pinnacle, I think probably an on-platform marketplace would be good too. In the only other thing that I would say too is, just going back to what I was saying about them being good collectibles first, like that is so important. I can't hammer that home enough. And like at D23 we were just at, we talk about the utility and things about to get excited about. The collectors were excited just because they were limited to D23. That's like a common people will, claw over each other to get D23 limited almost anything. And so that was such a great opportunity that Pinnacle took advantage of there to introduce those pins to the community. So yeah, it looks like you're showing the video there, and it was just so cool. And I want to get back to the digital trading boards because that's another thing if you want to talk about kind of the future and utility.
Well, let's hear about it. What do you think about the digital trading boards? Is that what we just saw right now
Yeah, so
on the
there's
screen?
so you see them using them right now. So what they did is for each person who came up, so after they went through a series of events to get more free pins, they would go up to these digital trading boards and they could pick a pin that they wanted, and then the team would trade with them in real time.
Uh,
Now, granted, this was like manned, but play this movie out. Think about it a little bit more. Imagine if every store in Disneyland had a digital trading board outside. You had a QR code, scanned it, you could trade pins with that, then walk away. Someone else could come up and they could trade more pins, and they would just be these dynamic, living, like digital trading boards. And people have a tough time conceptualizing what do I do with the digital pins? It's like that's it. Like how amazing is that? Like I don't know. In them being good collectibles and digital being an improvement over physical. I think you mentioned earlier that you can hold your pins, see your pins, like put them on your wall. That's great. There is like a point of diminished returns with that though. I've spoken to collectors who are like, I have thousands of pins and they're just in buckets in my garage. Like, and so the fact that I could have all of my pins on my phone is an actual improvement to that experience.
that's a good point you made though. Like we all know that you don't have to deal with the actual clutter of a digital collection. But did you meet any physical collectors, and how exactly did they receive this digital idea? What kind of feedback did you get?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think someone asked me this earlier. They're like, "Oh, what percentage of people who you met at D23 were familiar with Pinnacle already?" And I would say like, I don't know, less than 5%, were already familiar
Wow.
with Pinnacle. And the majority of them were just physical pin collectors. I mean, so the booth was set up at this kind of intersection. It was right next to the Lorcana booth, and then it was across from the physical pin store, like the pin store for Disney. And so there was a lot of kind of intersection of people there, of collectors. And so, yeah, the majority of people, I would say, you know, eh, every once in a while, someone passed by the booth and they would just kind of hear it out of the corner, the side of my ear. They'd be like digital pins. What am I going to do with those? And they just kind of walk by. But luckily there was actually this D23 Gold member and Disney Plus benefit. If you had either of those, you got a free pin. And so people would stop by just to claim their free item. And the people who engage with it, they seem to really like it. They really enjoyed it. And it was funny because there was a couple of conversations that I actually had with people who weren't familiar with Pinnacle, but maybe they're familiar with NFTs more broadly. And they're like, what's the deal here? Like, and they hit me with some hard questions. But this one guy, it was my favorite experience, hit me with some hard questions. He was asking about the structure, the license, and I was like, I don't know the specifics here, buddy. But he was real skeptical at first. But he went through the kind of the flow there and got his free pins, did the digital trading board. I'm not kidding. Dude came back 4 times to get the limited edition drops over the rest of the weekend. And I actually made fun of him the second time. I was like, like seems like you have a little bit of a different tone now back for a second time. And he was like, well, if I'm going to go in, I'm going to go in all the way. Like,
Yeah.
and he was not the only person who I saw had that experience. So I'm not trying to oversell, but it really did seem like people had a lot of fun with it.
Well, I mean, knowing the structure of the license is a very interesting thing. I think somebody who's in this space for a long time, that's very valuable information to understand. Does it run out? Is there a time
Right.
limit on it? What exactly are they allowed to sell? What different IP within Disney are they allowed? That is a great question. I don't know
It
if
was.
Disney Pinnacle is going to be open about it. I don't know if they're going to want to share that information, but yeah.
I don't know it either. So
Uh,
I can't even withhold it because I don't know it.
Yeah, they probably don't even want to share it. But you did mention something else, which is this idea of getting something for free. So I think the perfect thing for Disney Pinnacle as well to bring in some physical collectors is the whole digital aspect of that utility could be amazing. Like imagine they were to run you sell it digitally. They've had sales for like $50, for example, for a limited pin. What if you would then get the ability to redeem for a physical? I think that there's a really good opportunity there. And from a marketing perspective, I thought it was really great where they were located relative to the physical pin booth. Joe and I did a video talking about that. And I think it was a great place from a marketing perspective. That's where you wanted to be. People were going there anyways. That's where the volume was going to be. You guys had it right front and center. I shouldn't say you guys, you're not part of that team, but Dapper had it right there. And I think that was genius. But what do you think about the whole digital aspect of this?
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be cool. I think that actually feeds into kind of one of the other benefits of digital versus physical pins specifically was something that I was unaware of is that there was a counterfeit problem like amongst like physical pins. I had no idea. They call them scrappers. Like
Oh yeah.
I found this all out. It's like a whole thing.
Yeah.
There was a crew of people who actually are building a whole database of pins where you can take a photo and it identifies your pin because there's 140,000 unique pin designs apparently. I had no idea.
What? Wow.
And they're like, yeah, we can tell the scrappers. I was like, okay, this is crazy that's a problem.
Yeah.
But so like digital twins to physical objects could be beneficial there. It's a core benefit to just digital only is that they're like serialized and on chain, so you can't counterfeit them. But if you tied that with a physical object, I mean, I have a I have a Disney pin from the movie Wish, and it has an LED light in it. I mean, it's not a computer, but it's like it has like electronic components to it, so it wouldn't be that obscure to think about like an NFC chip or something like that
Yeah.
attached to it. So I think that'd be great. The only thing that I would say, and maybe not that the Pinnacle team like needs any grace in this regard, but I think it's helpful to know these things is because I'm no like theme park entertainment industry experts. This is all stuff I've picked up along the way in my like NFT journey. It's something I thought was fascinating about Disney. Weirdly enough, I learned this through Doodles. Is how separate all of the Disney divisions are. Like anything you can think of in Disney has its own division. Disney Plus is separate from Disney Parks, which is separate from Disney Pins, which is separate from Disney Restaurants, which is separate from ticketing, from cruises, and they are like fully siloed. It's the only way that they could have an organization that big is they're all their own companies. And so it's not like when you get a deal, it's my understanding, like you get a deal with Disney, you get a deal with Disney. No, you get a deal with like one portion. That's why, like, I would imagine that Pinnacle pins aren't in the parks, is because they probably don't have a deal with the parks yet. I think it'd be really awesome. I told everyone at D23 to tweet about it and like make some noise because I think that's how the parks like understand there's demand for it. But so I say all of that because the digital physical pin twin would probably require some additional like licenses and negotiations and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, the NFC chip, we've seen projects want to do that. That's pretty cool because then it moves with the physical object. I think even if they can find a way, 'cause let's say they did have a deal with specifically the Disney pin, right? Like with the
Sure.
pin department,
Right.
they could do unique pins, right? They could try to replicate one that they made digital that's exclusive just to Disney Pinnacle. That could be an option, for example. Also, thing about the parks that you mentioned earlier, what I really like is that board, that digital board, where at the park, I've heard, I'm not a pin collector, but I've heard that if you go to the cast members within the park, they must do a trade with you. So they'll have a bunch of pins. If you want to do a trade, they have to do it no matter what you give them. It's almost like the digital pin board would be the same. It would just,
Yep.
would just eliminate the cast member. People can show up, and you might have people there at all times of the day, just trading whatever. And someone leaves something behind, the next guy needs that, and he comes in, he does the trade. So that would be like, I think, a low maintenance, very passive way to kind of get it in the parks, and I think it's a great idea. And it would great for Dapper. What a way to get your word out. I mean, at D23, you're saying 5% of people, like we in the NFT world, we live in our own bubble, thinking that like everyone's heard of all these different projects, when just the average Joe has no idea that this even exists. Albeit Disney Pinnacle hasn't done a global release yet, right? They're still
Right.
restricting people into the app. And actually, how do they deal with that? Do they let people download? Did they open it up so that if you download the app, you can join that weekend?
There was a QR code at the booth, and if you scan that, that would take you to a special link to download the app directly. And then if you download the app, you would get one of the first pins from the open edition from the D23 exclusives. Yeah.
Gotcha. I think the marketplace, I mean, they've mentioned that they want to have a marketplace, and I think that could really take them to the next level. I think any project that has a marketplace and gives people the freedom to trade and sell and buy what they want specifically, because right now, if you want something, you have to trade it, right?
Right.
But like if you give people the freedom to actually do what they want with their stuff, I think that could really take them to the next level. we're waiting to see when that global release happens. But I think it would be definitely a game changer for Disney Pinnacle and bringing in maybe some more new people without utility. It's just giving people the freedom to buy, sell, and trade, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I think we'll look back on this time, and Web3 moves so fast. Like, oh my gosh, so fast. But we'll probably look back on this time in a couple of years and be really grateful for the way that, Dapper and then Flow after that, and still Dapper, to be fair, uh, handled these things because I can name probably half a dozen NFT drops from legacy brands that did not go very well. Like, you know what I mean? They did not go well at all. I think about like Porsche, Game of Thrones, all those ones that we know and love. And I would say that Dapper and Dapper on Flow has taken a kind of slow approach to kind of bringing these legacy IPs on chain slowly. They go, hey, you can be in our custodial wallet. Users are safe and protected. And those brands are like, that's very good. We like that. We're used to that. And then slowly bringing them more into this like fully on chain universe that we know and love, right? Where marketplaces are interoperable, composable, all the things that we come to expect. But I think it just takes time. But like I said, I think we'll look back on this time and be really grateful for the way that it was handled, if that makes sense.
It does. I've always thought, and we've done videos on this before, but we had Luke on the channel previously, but we've always thought that like Flow blockchain is going to be like the Apple of blockchains. It's going to be kind of that like iOS system, but in the blockchain kind of version that maybe these big IPs will feel very secure with, right? They may feel that, okay, it's an open ecosystem, but it's built in such a way that it is a little bit more, I guess, controlled, if that even makes sense. And it's made to be scalable, right?
I would say that it probably is something like this. I would think that because I think what you're saying is the kind of closed garden kind of app store model that Apple has. I would say that's probably a better description of like Dapper Labs and Dapper Wallet, if that makes sense. Like that is a very safe place where brands can come on chain. They say, hey, use our custodial wallet. But the reality is, and not that I want to get into a purity test of like who's the most decentralized, whatever. But like Flow is actually like really decentralized and really scalable. And the people who built it actually really care about that stuff. Maybe more than some people who are building like on-chain experiences right now. Like if you actually talk to Deet and hear what he thinks, like this guy cares about all the core tenets of Web3 that we all care about. And I think the ultimate victory long term will be someone like Dapper Labs or other product offerings being able to offer that safe place where brands can come on chain, but then interacting on Flow, which can scale almost infinitely due to all the kind of protocol native features. And there's also some protocol native like safety features as well that people like product studios like Dapper can take advantage of on Flow.
Yeah, I think, and I think that's why Flow's great. Now, speaking of scalability, the Crescendo upgrade and EVM, like this is I think a massive deal for Flow. And if correct me if I'm wrong, this is going to mean multi-chain, right? This is the multi-chain version that we thought of Web3, where there can now be multiple blockchains and a way to kind of bridge. Am I understanding this correctly? Can you maybe explain that?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think when people think of multi-chain, they think of like all the chains. And now there's so many chains, like it's crazy. But I think more so what this means than anything is Crescendo does a couple of things. So for the people who are already on Flow, it brings Cadence, which is the Flow programming language. So Cadence is a resource oriented programming language. It's just a little bit different than Solidity, but it brings that to maturity in the way that it won't ever break again, and all future updates will be backwards compatible. So people can feel comfortable building immutable smart contracts on Flow, which previously they couldn't. So that's one thing. But what you're talking about is EVM on Flow, right? So that's where Flow is going to be. It's a really kind of cool. Flow is going to be running and the EVM, directly within a smart contract. Like it's really fascinating. So it's EVM equivalent, and I just want to say that to be very clear is because a lot of terms get thrown around all the time, like oh EVM compatible. No, it's like this is EVM equivalent. So current Solidity developers can take their app as it is, no code changes, drop it into EVM on Flow and run it. They'll have to change the endpoints, but they won't have to change any of the code. And so this will enable a lot of cross-chain interaction, which I think is what you're talking about. Like
Yeah.
in Flow has traditionally been an island, in a way. There's been bridges, but it's not what I think we've been used to in Web3, if that makes sense. The kind of bridges that you can just kind of swap anywhere and everywhere. This will open up that opportunity in a really big way.
All right. So that's a different way of someone explaining it to me, but I think that makes a lot of sense. So it's just curious in terms of actual operations. Like, let's just say, for example, Disney Pinnacle's Flow. And I want to go cross chain. I want to interact with my I don't know, the Ethereum blockchain. They would have to build the equivalent. Like, someone on Ethereum would have to come on Flow and move it from Ethereum to Flow, but you can't go from Flow to Ethereum. Is that the idea? It's a secondary. It's the same app from another chain built on Flow. So then there's that cross chain connectivity.
Well, so you wouldn't have to run two simultaneous apps. Let's use Top Shot, for example. Like Top Shot NFTs are on Flow. They're Cadence NFTs. You could bridge those to Flow EVM and list them on OpenSea.
Okay, I see.
Right.
I see.
Flow EVM will act like it now. Granted, technically it's a little bit more impressive, but just for the everyday kind of user, if you're familiar with using kind of L2 networks, like on your MetaMask wallet, for example, how you just switch to Base or switch to Blast or switch to any of these other ones, you'll be able to switch to Flow EVM. Like, there's already wallet providers currently, if you look around close enough, if you have an in-app wallet in your app, you click in, it'll start to show Flow Wallet. That's already happening today. So you're going to see a lot more of that.
That's fantastic. So you would bridge it to Flow EVM, and then you can now interact, like you said, with OpenSea, which does not support Flow, but it supports the Ethereum mainnet. So if you do that, then you can go in and do it. So that that is the future. In many ways, that is the future, right? What people want in a Web3 world, where you don't really want to think about the chain. You want to just interact with different apps, but you don't have to worry too much about how you're going to interact. I think the Flow EVM is going to maybe affect Disney Pinnacle long term, maybe affect other Flow projects. Like, how do you think this is going to affect these projects? Do you believe these projects will benefit from more users as a result of this? Like, how do you think this is going to affect the overall market?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't. Yeah, I mean, so the idea would be that anybody who's interacted with EVMs or has any familiarity with how kind of layer twos work could easily interact with Flow EVM. But what we believe too is it's even going to go beyond that. Is the cool thing too is with Flow EVM, you can actually add on top of it with Cadence. Cadence does some very particular things that I think are really cool. Like, for example, scripted transactions, right? The EVM is very good at saying, you own this and this is here. Scripted transactions say, okay, I want to buy this thing, but only if I have, this token and that token. It introduces on-chain logic, if that makes sense. It's not just this here, this there. It's what if then, kind of a programming language kind of thing. So it enables the kind of interactions that we're familiar with in Web 2 to now happen in Web 3, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Which I think is going to be massive, huge unlock for the space. But from a simple perspective, yeah, I would certainly hope that that people from EVM come over to Flow EVM, people from Flow go over to the EVM just as well.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I haven't personally used it. I haven't tried to do anything with it, but I'm curious to see where this goes. If I ever have the need to use it, if I choose to use it because I actually want to try to leverage that. Right.
Well, like a simple example, maybe something. We'll use the Top Shot example again, right? And we have marketplaces currently on Flow, like Floaty. Let's say there's, just totally making things up, but let's say there's an offer on your Top Shot moment for $100 on Floaty, and you see on OpenSea there's an offer for $120. Like, bridge it over, easy peasy, sell it on OpenSea, great. Or the same thing may happen in reverse, if that makes sense. There may be an NFT that has an offer on OpenSea, an EVM main NFT that has an offer on OpenSea that's $100 USD. And they see, oh, there's an offer on Floaty for $120. So you bridge it and go over there. Like, why not?
Right. Why not? Exactly. Okay. Well, that's obviously a lot of interesting things going on at Flow. I think for the most part, I have covered everything I want to ask you today, but I wanted to just open the floor for a second. Is there anything else you want to get off your chest to Nathan?
Yeah.
Because Nathan, you guys are going back and forth here. Is there anything
The
else?
utility is bearish guy.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to tell Nathan? I'm going to add him on this video so he can come and listen in. But any final thoughts on this?
I don't even remember us disagreeing that much, so I don't know if there's any final thoughts. But I would just say that yeah, this is the kind of thing that one I think actually EVM on Flow and Crescendo is going to bring, because it's going to bring some of those kind of protocol native flow features that are built for consumer Web3 to the broader EVM. That's I think people on Flow have had these experiences and known how good these experiences are, like Disney Pinnacle, Top Shot. I mean, you name it, like all these kind of like amazing on-chain experiences. Like if you've interacted, we use the Pinnacle example with the app, you would never know that you're buying an NFT. It's a smooth, seamless experience. It's incredible. That is not the case on like the EVM side, you know? And so I'm super excited for people to get to enjoy and experience those things that we've all been experiencing for some time, you know? And I think that really bringing EVM on Flow and mirroring those two universes in that way is going to have some really cool effects that I'm excited about.
Yeah, that's incredible. There's a lot going on at Flow, a lot of change, I guess, but they also have a great team. Like I said, we had Luke on before.
Yeah,
Is
Luke's
he?
a great guy.
He's Flow Foundation as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He's a great community manager there. So,
Oh, you
yeah,
know what though? I forgot to address Nathan though. I got lost in my own sauce here and I didn't address
yeah,
Nathan. Like, um, but now that the kind of playing field has been leveled, right, in this way with like Crescendo and EVM on Flow and Cadence 1.0, I think that it's no longer going to be good enough to just have your experience be on chain. It's not good enough to just be an NFT, if that makes sense, that you
yeah,
can sell at a marketplace, right? The differentiators are going to be like I really believe the next killer app, not just like in Web3, the next killer app is going to be built by a Web3 developer. And I put money on that that's going to be on Flow, right? And that's what getting to Nathan's point is like those experiences, having truly good digital collectibles, having truly smooth user experiences, onboarding flows, all that stuff, that's going to separate like the projects that are going to make it from those that are like NGMI.
right.
Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah, I agree with that totally. I agree with that totally. I don't think it's enough anymore to just be an NFT. Like there has to be some level of experiences, if we're going to call it, that are associated with it that will bring that new growth, those new people who are interested in doing this thing. The simple act of making an NFT and selling an NFT may no longer be enough. I think what made the space great in the past may not be what makes it even greater in the future, if that makes sense. There's a change that I think will be necessary because so it's kind of like old news now. Okay, anyone can make an NFT project, you can post it, and it's just there. People are used to this expressing themselves. You know, that was the kind of the original NFT. You can express yourself if you buy this. But I think people in the future are going to be looking for a lot more than that. And I don't disagree with you as well that it might be on Flow. Flow was made to scale. It's a blockchain that was made and built specifically for NFT projects with their problems in mind. So, you know, we look at some of the new projects that come out, a lot of them favor, they may not just be Dapper projects, but they may favor the Flow blockchain for that scalability reasons. We'll see what happens. And I'm hoping that it is a Web3 project that has that next boom. And hopefully you're right as well on your bet that it'll be Flow. All right. So if there's nothing else, I want to just first of all thank you for coming on the channel. Again, we appreciate you jumping on. Definitely very insightful. A lot of good conversation regarding Pinnacle and Flow as well. So absolutely, thanks for coming on. And maybe I told you when you're in Toronto, let me know.
yeah,
Because the TIFF it's the TIFF, right? The Toronto International Film Festival.
exactly.
It's usually a pretty big deal here. So again, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, dude, thanks so much for inviting me. It's been like just I've been watching your content for a bit and like super grateful to have creators like you in the community. You know what I mean? Like it's awesome. So I just very much appreciate the invite on and I'd love to come on again sometime.
Absolutely. You're always welcome on. Now, everyone, before you're watching, guys, don't forget you must go on Twitter. And it is, I'm just going to pull you up right now before we leave. It is at Doodlifts, DOOD lifts. All right. Make sure you guys give them a follow. Let them know the superstars have come. And if you haven't already, don't forget, become a superstar, smash the subscribe button, join the superstar fam, hit the bell notification to get every single video every single day. We do not miss. And again, thank you to our VIPs. Guys, take care. See you next one. Bye-bye.